Let me hear it, yo. Where my people's at? I like that. Bang on your chest if you the best. We be number one, ain't nothing else. Diamonds on my head, let the crown tell it. Make way, man, let me do my do. K-I-I-N-G. We the crown jewels, we don't deal with no fools, yo. K-I-I-N-G. Next on deck, dedicated to the queens, go Q-U-E-E-N. And just in case you ain't heard me, I'ma say it again, it go Q-U-E-E-N. We give a toast to the most because the rain never ends. Yeah, a little louder. I like that, go. Yo, louder. Let's go.
Okay, just kidding. Hello, good evening, and see you soon. We did. ARL May is in the books. Hello, hello. I am Luke Balancio. I am one of the ARL program directors and your normal host for the ARL Extra Innings show. We break down the action from the ARL event. We have some fun segments. I know everybody's here for the hot bot, so we'll get to that later on. And then at the very end of the show, we'll unveil the current ARL Championship standings. Before we get too far into things, this is the Arizona Robotics League. We are a series of off-season events for the first robotics competition, FRC. If you're new around here or you're watching this VOD tomorrow when we rerun it, you should follow us. And check out our YouTube, our Instagram. It's a cool place. And you can catch up. You can stay up to date on all the action there. If you're not in our Discord and you're interested in joining, you can also do that. There's a lot of people in there, so that's also a fun place to be. If you're on a team and you find yourself full of questions all the time, the Discord is a great way to get pretty much instant answers from your peers and your peers in Arizona. So, right, closer to home, and if you need assistance with anything personally, I'm sure there's dozens of teams that would jump to come over and help you out. So the Discord's a great place to connect with everybody there. ARL May, huh? What a thing. If I know a lot of people are probably curious where all the VODs are. We're working on them. Per usual, I hope everyone appreciates the off-season VODs are a little bit more time-consuming than regular season VODs. And we have to kind of go one by one and actively upload them and get them all looking pretty and stuff. So we're working on it. We're hoping to, in fact, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to work on uploading them. And so probably by the end of tomorrow, they'll all be uploaded. You can catch this show and last week's kickoff show and prediction show also on the YouTube. Those are on there now. So if you missed that, you might want to check them out. I know a lot of people might be wondering how the predictions turned out, but you will have to wait till the next prediction show, which is only a few weeks away, to hear the results and who's in the lead, and a couple other fun announcements on that prediction show as well. So, wow, what a weekend. Thank you to everyone who came. Thank you to everyone who came as a spectator. Thank you to all our volunteers. We have some of the best volunteers in the game. And I thought for our first event of the year, it was definitely the best ARL May we've had. Little behind the scenes stuff. We probably had the hardest setup we've ever had. A lot of missing things for the field, broken things. So the fact that we got the field up and ready in time for an hour and a half of practice matches was a huge achievement for everyone who was helping get the field set up. I know that we talked about on the kickoff show that adding that extra hour, letting teams load in at 4, the entire goal was to get more practice matches. And so baby steps, because of that delay with the setting up the field, we didn't exactly get our 4 hours of practice matches that we were hoping for. But I firmly believe that for the June event, we will. Really, it was just, there was some delays in getting everything up, and then it gets some delays in getting everything wired and tested. So everyone worked really, really hard. In fact, I think that if the same roadblocks that we encountered this past ARL May happened like 2 years ago, we would not have recovered the way we did. So it's a testament to the awesome volunteers that we have and the consistency and the experience they've had. So thank you to all our volunteers, and thanks everyone for showing up. A lot of the team showed up at 4 o'clock on Friday, which I think is great, and we're going to do the best we can to ensure that we are getting those practice matches started earlier and earlier every time. Our first segment we have on the show is the ARL Roundup, and we'll get into that in a second. But I did want to mention that I also boldly claimed on the kickoff show and the prediction show that we were not going to have any Phantom robots. And turns out we did. So I'm just full of it, apparently. Going into the event, we had 3 more robots than we needed. And by the time the event started on Saturday morning, we had 1 less robot than we needed. So we had to add 1 Phantom robot. So my bad. It's the catch-22 of making ARL as accessible as we possibly can. It's totally fine if you register the night before. It's also totally fine if you can't make it the day of, right? There's nothing holding you there, right? There's no entrance fee, right? It's always going to be free. So, it's just something that we have to juggle. And so it was still our largest ARL May we've ever had. So that's a huge plus. And I thought the action was pretty great, especially in playoffs. And the Phantom robot didn't affect things too much. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. So for the first ARL Roundup of the year. Nope, it's still not updated. Still the July ARL. Yo, I'm back. Howdy, partners. I'm back for another exciting ARL Roundup. Little fun fact about this ARL Roundup. It was written for me, and it was written for me in the voice of a cowboy, a rootin' tootin' cowboy. So I got to, as a side note, like most cowboys, I don't use AI a lot. But I haven't found a better use for AI than to plug in paragraphs and ask it to rewrite it like somebody else. So in this case, we plugged in our recap for the event, and we asked it to write it like a cowboy. So without further ado, partners, saddle up. Here we go. Well, I'll be. Last weekend, a herd of 15 clanking cladding robots from all across the Arizona frontier done gathered at Cactus High School to wrangle up the start of a brand spanking new ARL season. After 24 rounds of good old-fashioned mechanical throwdowns and 1 ghostly contraption showing up like a tumbleweed out of nowhere, Team 9432, them rootin' tootin' rustlers known as Team 8-Bit, came out sitting higher than a hawk on a fence post, ranking first. Pause. Whew. That was okay. We're going back in. When it came time to pick partners for the big showdown, 9432 lassoed 2403 and 2375B into their alliance corral, not even bothering to bring along a backup bot. Bold move, I reckon. That was the Phantom, but hey. Now ranked third, 2486 weren't looking out to be outdone. No, sir. They roped in 1165, 2486B, and 8012 for their posse. Next up, 10256 took the reins of the third crew, riding with 2375 and 996. Then came Alliance 4, led by them fine folks on 9704 who wrestled up 10506, 7703, and 9091 for the ride. When the elimination rounds came calling, that top-seed Alliance rode steady and strong, moving through the bracket like a well-oiled wagon on a smooth trail. They took on the fourth and second Alliances with grit and grace, notching a win in their first match by over 100 points. A mighty fine showing. Down in the lower bracket, things stayed peaceful as a prairie morning with no big surprises, and the second alliance worked hard to earn their way back to the final showdown. In that there final, match 1 was tighter than a new pair of boots. Seems the top dogs had themselves some control gremlins, but they dug in their spurs and held on, claiming the win in match 1. Match 2 Well, they rode strong, steady, and sure, taking the crown and marking themselves the first Outlaws to tame the 2025 ARL Frontier. Hot dang, reckon we're in for one heck of a season. Wow. Well, certainly I couldn't have said that better myself. My accent is the reason why everyone tunes into the ARL stream. And I hope everyone enjoyed that and nobody clips it. That would be awesome. Anyway, no longer Cowboy Luke. I honestly didn't even comprehend what I was saying when I was reading that because I was so taken aback. But we did have 15 robots this past weekend and one Phantom. In case you are curious, the Phantom basically the way it worked is like you don't get a robot, but you get point value for that robot. So teams were able to put coral on the reef, 2 coral on either level 1, level 2, level 3 before the match. And so like you might be thinking, well, if they put it on level 3, isn't it touching an algae? You'd be correct. It was touching an algae. So like that coral wouldn't be scored in auto, and you'd have to remove the algae in order for it to be scored. If you put it on level 2 in auto or level 1, it would be scored as if it was scored in auto. And so the points worked out like that. Most alliances opted to put the coral on level 2. And yeah, we had to truncate some matches at the end of the day. The lower amount of teams we have for ARL, the more back-to-backs teams have to play. And so we are always caught in like do we do as many matches as we can, which means we turn down the breaks in between matches, or do we, add more Phantoms so that there are no back-to-backs, but then like the actions, there's way more 2v3s. And so this case, we tried to find the balance of the two. We added one Phantom, and then we made like 9-minute cycles. So teams still had to play back-to-backs, but at the same time, they hopefully had enough time to at least do a light maintenance on the robot and get back out there. So we ended up with not too many matches like 1v3 or anything like that. Most teams made it to the field for all of their matches, but we did in turn have to truncate some matches at the end. So let's take a look at the rankings. So these were the rankings I referenced in my roundup, this time without the accent. 9432 did rank 1, just edging out 2403 via the average match tiebreaker. One thing that I thought was super interesting about this whole event is that not a single match had co-op, which I guess it literally was a deciding factor, right? If 2403 had co-opted once or 9432 had co-opted once, then it wouldn't have even gone to average match. So looking forward to future ARL events, teams might want to consider co-oping one time, and that might come in really handy, right? Especially if you're gunning for the top, maybe just one match worth. I also find it very interesting that 9432 edged 2403 on average match by only 1.5 points, considering their average auto difference was so large. And the barge difference. So these two, differences were so big, but the average match was only 1.5. So both these teams looked really, really good. 9432 doing what they've been doing all season, smoothly scoring all levels, and their super cycles are really fun to watch, right? Scoring high, and then the flipping down and grabbing the algae and then going to score it. So that all looked really, really good. In 2403, the only ground coral cycler that we have currently that's not just L1 looked really, really good, really well practiced from the season, and they had the best record, right, coming out of quals, but like we were just talking about, they did not rank 1 in the end. But good news for both 9432 and 2403, not to spoil anything for the championship rankings, but them tying them 2403 not ranking 1 didn't actually affect the championship rankings. If we remember correctly, or if you've read the handbook, your initial point values for the ARL Championship rankings, right, have to do with your ranking score, not where you rank. So 3.75 and 3.75 fall into the same ranking bracket, so they were awarded the same points there. I did not believe in the co-op. I did not. Well, I wanted to, but it did not happen. Maybe for next event, I believe in the co-op. I hope so. Okay, rounding out our top 4. Remember, we only do 4 alliances at the ARL qualifiers. We had 2486, who, if we take a look at, I don't want to get too deep into it, but if we take a look at, scroll, they had a charging afternoon, right? I believe going into lunch, their record was not what it looks like here, right? So they actually won out, right? They won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight matches after losing the first 3, right? So they went 0-3, right? Actually, sorry, 1-2. Sorry, they were 1-2, and then they won out to end rank 3, which is big, right? That 3.38 is big. And then 10-2-5-6, well, which I don't want to take credit for anything because I won't. But someone had 10-2-5-6 in their predictions, and it was this guy. So not surprised to see them rank that highly at all. They round out our top 4. Yeah, there's not too much more to extract from quals, I don't think, unless anyone in the chat can remember anything that I can't. But I thought that the for sure the no co-op was interesting. Very few climbs in general at the event, so I would imagine going on it like as the season progresses, we're going to see more and more climbs get added as teams utilize those extra 5 pounds and realize that it's maybe a missing part of their game. Funny thing about the field fault is legitimately I know nothing about it because I was in the pits and all I did was hear the foghorn go off, and then I have no idea how the field fault happened. So I'm going to need. We hit the PO? What's the PO? The PO? Oh. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Coral Station exploded. That's not a good sign. All right, well, 1 field fault. Didn't include that on my... Maybe we'll need to include field faults on the over-unders for next prediction show, seeing as how we had one. And I guess maybe we do have one, like 1 an event. Less than 1 an event, so it would be a nice line of, 1.5 field faults? Or 0.5 field faults? That'd be a fun line for the prediction show. Yeah, so the panel fell off. Not a lot of climbs. I think teams will add them as we go. Strategically, for the most part, I was working with an L1 score, so I didn't really have a thought in this too much from a strategic side of things for the robot I was working with, but not many attempts at the Reef RP, right? For the most part, I think teams were playing for the win, right? So you saw a lot of focus on completing the L4 circle, right? Completing that row of L4 and then moving down, which kind of left some teams who were hoping, that their maybe removal of algae was something that would benefit alliances. It kind of left them hanging a little bit because there wasn't a lot of robots making it to that second row that weren't in our top 3 basically, right, or our top 4. But again, maybe we see more RPs, more of that focus in the next event when there's less Phantom robots and more teams. Again, someone in this show had both the unders on both the Reef and the Barge RP. Hold on, turn my thumb. This guy. Not to spoil anything from the prediction show. I'm not winning, by the way, so that's not good for me. Yeah, so the playoffs, huh? Cool thing. So alliance selection was interesting. I hinted at it in my roundup monologue. Not super shocked at all by 9432 picking up 2403. And ignore the backwards order that I listed 2403 as the captain here. I did not mean that. I definitely am a big dum-dum. But I also hope everyone appreciates the ghost, because that was there. Them. 9432 picking up 2403, that seemed like a given. It seemed like the lock, right? When it comes to defense, right, the ground intake is really helpful. So you can't get shut down at the Coral Station. And 2403 has the best one in Arizona at the moment. and probably for the rest of the season. They got that. Their intake looks really, really good. And with 9432's auto and ability to supercycle the algae off the reef, it felt like a match made, before line selection even happened. Just a matter of, if 9432 or 2403 ranked one, they'd pick the other. They round out their alliance with 2375B. More on them later. And Alliance 2 was also very fascinating. I did forget to bring up in our rankings that, and we might hear about them later, but 1165 had an awesome event. They looked really, really, really good out there, especially at the L4s, right, going around the ring. And the fact that they didn't rank very highly was surprising. I think it was maybe an unfortunate match schedule. But 2486 being able to pick them up was a great first pick. And again, those two combined were able to remove algae and score, complete the L4 and work their way down. I did think that was really interesting was that both the 1 and 2 alliance had one climb, in theory, on their alliance, right? 20 did 2403 get off the ground often? I can't remember. So Alliance 1 had the option for 2 climbs. I know 2486 hit their climb a few times in quals. But, if when you're building alliance, it's kind of what you're looking at first. So yeah, I think 2403 did hit it a few times. So 2 climbs on Alliance 1 and 1 on Alliance 2. 2386B, man, this guy who makes this show, what a hack. 2486B also felt like the natural. 2375B climb 2, I didn't know that. I didn't know, dude, I missed so much. I need to see the video. I didn't know 2375B, and they fell all the way. That's crazy. That's cool. That's awesome. I had literally no idea. I missed it. Well, congrats to 2375B for getting a climber on there. That's awesome. So 3 climbers on Alliance 1. The cage got stuck. Oh no. You know what? 2375B had a great inaugural event, and we'll hear more about them later. I think we're gonna maybe hear more about them for the rest of the season. The Alliance 2, I really like the composition. 2486B, we've seen 2486 pick up their B robot several times before, so that pick wasn't super shocking. I really love the pick of 8012, for the 4th robot, which I forgot to mention in the opening, but even though we had one Phantom, we still ran the 4x4 Alliance, which is why the Ghost was auto-assigned to Alliance 1. But I thought 8012 had a really great event. Every time we played 8012, I would look up, and there would be 3 to 4 to 5 algae in my net. Like if I played against 8012, my net, and I was always like, how did that much algae get up there? It's because 8012 was grinding the processor. So I really liked that pickup. And then let's see, Alliance 3, Dragons A, the super consistent robot all season. Again, consistent again, which how many times am I going to say again? I really like their pickup of 10256. Or 10256, I really like their pickup of 2375. And then 498B makes sense on paper. Unfortunately, didn't execute as well as I would have liked in playoffs. 2375 did have a 2-piece auto. I've been watching 2375 tinker on that 2-piece auto the whole year. I saw them at both events I went to. So I've been extremely impressive. Very happy to see the 2-piece hit. I was excited to be part of the Alliance. I appreciate the pickup. And then 996, who made their debut event. I forgot to mention 10506, 8012, and 996 all making their debut events for ARL. So congrats to them for all making playoffs. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from 996. I know they had a swerve chassis. Wasn't running this event, but they had one, so I'm looking forward to them working on that and getting it out there. The 4th seed, 9704, maybe it didn't have the exact event they were hoping for robot-wise. I know they had some tech difficulties. Picked up a really solid 10506, right? Crash test dummies. And then congrats 7703. They only went to one event this year, but they didn't make playoffs of that one, so they make playoffs at their first ARL event. Awesome. And for what the robot does, it does it really well, right? So 7703 clearing algae. I don't think, like, I think the way the alliance is formed and the strategy formed at ARL May, the algae clearing robot wasn't exactly the hottest commodity, but I do think that as the season goes on, that is going to play a big role for some alliances. So props to 7703 for making playoffs, and then 9091 rounding out that alliance. So we had a pretty standard playoffs bracket, if you will. I don't think there's a huge need to jump in. No upsets, right? 1 beats 4, 2 beats 3, 1 beats 2, 4 beats 3, or 3 beats 4, 2 beats 3, and then in our finals, 1 beats 2. Congrats to 9432, 2403, and 2375B. And then maybe my favorite part of the alliance, that little ghosty guy on the dub. Finals 1 was super interesting because 9432 had some tech difficulties. Here it is. And so the score was actually really, really close. Closer in match 1. But from the basically from the auto, it felt like the Red Alliance was going to take the victory. Alliance 2 kept it really, really close in Finals 1, but then you saw what the number 1 Alliance really looked like when they hit their stride in Finals 2 when everybody was working. And you could see the effectiveness of 2403's ground intake here, right? They don't have to drive very far to get to it. And the defender for, I guess it's 2486B, not looking to shut down a coral station, trying to play a little bit of defense on 2403, but it's kind of hard because 1165, you got a coral underneath your I hate that. I would recommend to everybody, shout out to my Blazing Bulldog, shout out 581, I would recommend going and looking up 581's build release, their tech binder, their tech release on Chief Delphi. They had a really unique and cool way to prevent coral from falling under their elevator, where they took like cable, like rope, and then in between the rope strung surgical tubing or harpoon tubing between, so that it could compress under the elevator. But when the elevator went up, it would obviously uncompress it. It would be kind of like a net, so you couldn't get coral underneath. Really, really creative way to prevent that, because we 498 struggled with that too. We were always worried. I think it happened once this season where we got a coral directly underneath the elevator because there's a big hole when the elevator goes up. But I would I shout out, like I would recommend going and checking out 581, their stuff on Chief Delphi for a lot of reasons. But specifically for in this context, I'd go check out the elevator coral preventer, stuck preventer. You did get it out, yeah. I mean, but once you get something stuck and your cycles slow down, I just thought, there it goes, it fell in. Especially when you're an underpowered, right? When you're the underdog in this matchup, it really, getting slowed down at all really affects things. I was curious if Alliance 2 ever considered swapping an 8012 here. It felt like they were maybe a little under firepowered, like the defender, especially after Finals 1, right? I'm going to try to skip ahead here. I'm working with the full VOD right now, so bear with me. We did match 2, exactly. And that's why I was curious. So here we are, match 2, swapped an 8012. I think that was a really smart decision. 8012, I think, had an underrated event for how effective they were at doing what they set out to do when the match started. Skip. Hello. How long is Jeremy holding his thumb up? Very long time. So I really like the swap in for 8012. I didn't even see that 9432 or sorry, 2375B, you drove the wrong direction in auto. Did we hit cages, or was that on purpose to get the defense faster? Can't really tell. Probably not on purpose. Did everyone enjoy working with their fourths? I'm really happy to hear that Alliance 2 or see that Alliance 2 subbed in 8012. I think that working with our fourth robots for ARLs is really unique for us because we don't get to do that. First of all, we haven't done it at ARL, but we don't get to do that at the regional level. So having the ability to bring in more Arizona teams to the playoff fold, even if they don't play, I think is really fascinating. So I know it was the very first event, and we fell victim to this as well, where like we kind of got into the thick of it with our alliance for strategy, and then we went, oh, like we totally didn't even, like we already forgot that this is 4x4 now. Yes, fourth robots are awesome, and I'm very happy that we're able to do that. So hopefully, I know we didn't have 16 robots at this event, but hopefully we actually have 16 robots at the next event, so we don't have to do a phantom, and we can have we can have the number 1 seed can also have their fourth. Because I think there's so much that, even robot aside, that a team can learn just by being in the strategy circle, or by being in the pit, and just kind of, I know that like some of my most life-changing moments when I was both a student but then also as a mentor, like program defining moments, was when we got to as a team work with, established good programs, right? Good as in competitive, right? Good. And kind of just watch how they did things, right? In the intensity that they brought, or the approach they brought to strategy, the pit crew, things like that. So even if you don't get a chance to play, it can really mean a lot. So if you didn't get a chance to work with your fourth robot as an alliance partner, well, maybe something we can focus on in June. I know it's something that we're going to focus on in June, because I don't think we worked with ours as much as we wanted to. So, yeah. Great event, I think, all around. I know we had some truncated matches, and I know the timeouts in playoffs can get real boring real fast. For the audience, I promise you, for those teams that like are trying to swap their battery or get fix an arm or fix something, 10 minutes flies by, or the 15-minute break, whatever the case. I know it can drag on, but solid event, especially for the first ARL. I think that gap between the number 1 seed and the number 2, or the number 2 and the number 3, is only going to close as the events go on. There was a pretty large gap between the 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4 at this event, but I think as teams like tune their autos in the off season, add climbers, and in general working with the robots more, the floor is only going to rise. I'm curious, if how many teams kind of didn't even turn their robot basically on from the season until they came to ARL, or if they're, how many teams put in a concerted effort prior to this event. I always like knowing that kind of stuff. Yeah, so the 32 point margin in this one. We got our scoring mechanism parts on Thursday before ARL. Yeah. And that's really tough, right? It's really tough to, I tell, on 498, we have a saying where and we're learning it. We learn it every time, or it's reinforced every time it happens to us. But if we put something together and it's not tested the weekend before competition, then it's not going to work the way it's supposed to. Nothing ever works the way it does the first time. So getting that testing time is massively important. I know 498B went through that the hard way at this past event, right? We could never get everything to work together, and we learned a lot about the robot as we went, but we wish we had learned that the previous weekend. No active event currently selected. Tough. All right, so congrats all around to all the teams. I hope could even touch our robots since 3 weeks until Friday. Yeah, and I also know a lot of teams can't even get access to their robots, or they might not have access to it over the summer. So if you are one of those teams and you can get your robot out of your school, you're welcome to store it at, I'm just speaking because that's my school, that's my program, but you're welcome to store it at Cactus, so you don't have to drive it back and forth for ARLs, and it's always there. And then you can meet to work on your robot at Cactus in between. Or I'm sure there are numerous teams closer potentially to you that would offer you the same thing. So if you can work it out so you can get access to your robots, that is always an option. Just so we really want as many ARL teams as we can, right? We really want access to robots as much as we can. So anything that we can do, reach out in the Discord is my suggestion. All right, so congrats teams. ARL May in the books. We have our rankings coming up at the end of the show. I hope everyone was able to utilize the pit judging. We forgot to talk about that, or I haven't talked about that yet. Utilize pit judging. Yep, so we're not going to publish the full VOD, publish it, but what we'll do is if you're in the ARL Discord, we can drop the unlisted link. So we're going to leave it unlisted, but we'll drop the unlisted link in the Discord. We'll go from there. And then, like I said, the VODs will be uploaded and pretty much out tonight, tomorrow. Yeah, so and the other thing, in case anyone's wondering, we also are planning, I think I mentioned this on the kickoff show, but we're really trying to raise the number of hours we're streaming so that we can unlock more fun things for the channel. So we are going to rerun the events in their total, like in total, the weekend after every event. So not only will we'll put the full VOD unlisted on the Discord, we'll have the VODs available on our YouTube, and obviously we'll link them to Blue Alliance. But we are going to run the event again this weekend on Saturday, in case anyone really wants to relive the analyst desk, because that's usually a part that gets cut out of that stuff. So don't be surprised when you see it live. It will be a rerun. But anyway, I hope you guys found the pit judging helpful. I enjoyed giving out, or seeing the ARL All-Star given out. As a reminder, that award is a little bit different. So if you don't know the difference between ARL All-Star Championship, ARL All-Star between this year and last year, you should check it out in the handbook. I think that's about it. I hope everyone also appreciated the inspection process. And I know our inspectors did an awesome job. We this time around. And as a reminder, Team Update 1 detailed the whole new inspection process we have. We have 3 types of inspections. We have the full inspection, the safety inspection, and the basic inspection. And they kind of sound like they are. The big thing is that if you went through a safety inspection or a full inspection at this past event, and you don't add anything major between May and June, we are going to put you through what we're calling a basic inspection instead of a safety and a full, and it'll be much faster than the other stuff, right? And so we also took photos of everybody's robots at this event, so when the inspectors are coming around at ARL June, they'll quickly be able to tell basically what your robot looked like. And so we're going to take everybody at their word when we ask the question, did you add anything major between events? So more on that if you check out the team update, or just go to the handbook. I'm glad inspection was smooth. Yeah, we have a great LRI, we have a great team of inspectors, so I think it's only going to be smoother as we go throughout the season, and especially as teams go through their full inspection or their safety inspection, and we're just getting right through the basic inspection, especially for teams that are traveling in the morning of on Saturday, right? I know it happens so often that teams are rolling in right at 8 o'clock, right at 8:15, and you could be match 1. You got to be on the field prior to opening ceremony, so it's hard to get through a full inspection by then. So looking forward to some basic inspections as the season goes on. All right, I've yapped enough. Without further ado, I know why everybody's here. I realize that nobody tuned in to see me or to see me talk like a cowboy. I realize that I am not the main attraction. I think we all know why you're all here, let's be honest. And so without further ado, let's introduce the next segment. Had to play the full version for our first Schroeder's Hotbot segment of the year. Everyone in chat, please join me in welcoming the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Schroyer of Schroyer's Hotbots. Adam, how are we doing?
Great, yeah. I can't wait to adjust the video and make it even longer because we have to put some clips from this year in there.
Do you need a bit of an update?
To be here. Another exciting ARL season is upon us. I'm excited.
What was your favorite part of ARL May, and you can't say when we finish setting up the field?
I was going to say Friday morning was probably my least favorite part of ARL May.
Yeah, I would agree.
Followed closely behind by right after lunch on Friday was my second least favorite part of ARL May. My favorite part of ARL May was to probably see we had some new faces that we haven't seen before at ARL, which is exciting. I don't know, it's fun to get the whole crew back together, and it's been a few months since we've competed against people and seen people, and it's just a great environment and getting the whole gang back together and setting up for a good fun summer.
Well, speaking of the whole gang is here and in chat and patiently awaiting your grand reveal. Is this a new Hotbot? Have we seen this team win Hotbot before?
Let me look at my files.
Your files, your records.
I don't believe so.
Oh, a new Hotbot.
I think this might be a new Hotbot.
All right. Well,
is it time or is it?
I will unveil as soon as you're ready.
Oh, okay.
You want a drum roll or what do you need?
I'm trying to find my sound effects. I made sound effects for this.
Okay. Do I have to go off the sound effects?
I don't know.
That's a Doug. All right.
Yeah, there you go. I got sound effects. Without further ado, my Hotbot, this team, you kind of gave it away a little bit earlier. You gotta watch what you say. Otherwise, I'm useless to the whole cause.
I was just foreshadowing.
I know, but my Hotbot has to go to 1165.
Agreed.
They came in and they just like you said earlier, they just got stronger after as the event went on, and I don't know if they've touched their robot since last regionals, but they got better, and I think it's a new drive team, new drive coach, there's some changes in that program that are going on, but it was exciting to see them, and I think that they can be a strong competitor moving forward if they continue to practice and continue to make slight tweaks to make things a little bit faster, maybe add some sort of algae mechanism, something like that.
Well, they're saying the chat is saying it's a new algae or a new coral mech, and I guess what you're saying is we could tell. Yeah, that thing cooked.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great, and I think that they're going to take this and hit the ground running, and maybe shake some things up for the June ARL here in a few weeks.
I couldn't agree more. And for those who are new to the segment, I forgot to really describe the beauty of the Hotbot. The beauty of the Hotbot is it doesn't have to be what some might deem the best robot at the event, right? It's a robot that Adam feels connected to via its gameplay. It might be an up-and-comer. You were connected. Yes. Congrats, 1165. So you're saying 1165 potentially has a sticker coming their way?
Yeah. I still owe a sticker to Pridetronics from last year, I think, or the Aztec. I owe a lot of people things. So once the new sticker order gets in, a sticker's coming your way, 1165.
Excellent. And you can sport that on your robot with pride, if you please. You don't have to.
You should.
But you should. You should. They're a hot commodity. Such a hot commodity that Adam doesn't even have any. All right. Thank you, Adam. We will see you again next month when you award your next ARL Hotbot. We're looking forward
Maybe
to
you'll
seeing
see me on the
you.
desk.
I might see you on the desk. That's right.
It might be a live Hotbot in action, like a Hotbot of the moment segment.
Schroeder's Hotbots live. Whoa.
It's actually a world tour that I'm doing. So
The Schroyer Sizzler, the sizzling bot. I I like that.
Now we're talking.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you, Adam. Thank you to the Hotbot segment for putting together this wonderful, wonderful piece. Congrats, 1165. Without further ado, bye, Adam. Bye, Adam.
Bye, guys.
I'm still muted. Here I am, unmuted. Got you. The great unveiling. Here are the rankings. Obviously, this isn't all the rankings. If you want to see the full rankings, you can go to our Discord. They'll have it first. And you can access the Excel. You can see how everything was calculated and whatnot. The list. The full list, anyway, if you will. But here we are. The top, not top, the 5 through 8, right? We only run the top 4 alliances for the qualifiers, right? 4 alliances, but obviously for the ARL Championship, we run full 8 alliances. So we take a look in the extra innings show at our current top 8. So here are 8, 7, 6, and 5. So let's start at number 8, 10506 in their inaugural ARL Prime 2375A. Again, these robots, we've been watching them all year. 23 and their scoring keeps getting better. They're continue to tinker on things like autonomous 2375 hitting their first 2-piece at this past ARL event. So these teams that are sitting in the top 8 right now, they're almost all hotbots, right? They're all robots that we expect to see continue to iterate, continue to get better throughout the whole ARL season. Which leads us into number 6 with 33 points, 10256. Congratulations to them. Huge event for them. I really like the changes they've made to the robot. Again, I think this is also, just for the record, 10256, one of the more unique robot archetypes that we have in Arizona at the moment, right? With the arm that tilts to the side to score. So really fun to watch them play in a match because you're seeing something that maybe not that is on every robot. But great event. I really like the changes they've made and kind of the focusing down they have on the bot. And then we just spoke about them, 1165 rounding out with at the 5th seed. 6 and 1165 tied with 33 ranking points. And how do they get untied, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. 5 and 6 total playoff round performance points. I just read that, so that's why it sounded like I read it. Total playoff round performance points. So if you are curious what the full tiebreakers look like for ARL, you have to check out the handbook, which is accessible in our Discord and a variety of other places. But 5 and 6. We also, it's not listed here, but 8 and 9, you can't see number 9 because obviously it's not on screen, but 8 and 9 also tied at 25 points apiece, and that tiebreaker was the highest individual match score. We also have 4 and 5. You can't see 4 yet. 4 and 5 also tied, and the tiebreaker there was best playoff round finish at a single event, right? So I know I'm just these teams. I think they're setting them up for success for the future events, both in their performance and in their rankings. This is one of the benefits of going to an early ARL event, is that the floor might be a little bit lower, so you can easily, you can acquire some easy ARL Championship ranking points. Again, if you're new here, these rankings are currently not final. Why are they not final? Well, that's because you have to compete in 2 events in order to qualify for the ARL Championship. So all of the rankings we're looking at right now are technically non-official until both, or these robots compete in a second event. Cool. Awesome. And I guess without further ado, let's take a look at our top 4. I said we talk about them again earlier. Our number 4 team after ARL May is 2375B. This photo here with a coral in their frame is the only one that I could find. So here we are. I could find quickly. I know there's more. 2375. I mean, honestly, what a great debut event. They took the W. They ranked 4. And what's fun about ARL is that this robot can continue to build on this chassis, right? But it'll maintain these 33 points that it gained from the W, right? So this robot could look completely different next event. It earned 33 points. Now, they 2375. I'm just going to use 2375 as my example here, not like I'm only going to use it because they're on screen, right? 2375 cannot enter their other robot, right, they have currently, as 2375B. That wouldn't make much sense, right? But what they can do is they can basically completely remove 2375 from the pool. 2375B from the event, or from all the events, and they can have a different robot compete in the 2375B slot, right? It's no different than just rebuilding your robot between events. It's the same concept. The only thing we can't do, or teams can't do, is swap their A's and B's around. So the B slot will always have these points, and the A slot will always have these points. So congrats with 2375. A, I think it's awesome you guys brought 2 robots to your first event. And B, I'm very happy to see both of them rank in the top 8. Awesome program, awesome people. Congratulations. All right, our number 3 team, I think you guys can all probably guess the top 3. Number 3, 2486 Prime A with 39 points. 2486 had like I said, a really slow start to the event, but then really gained steam as they went. I know they have a new drive team, right? I don't know if it's completely new, mostly new. They'd have to clarify for me on that one. But a new drive team for the event, and so they really gained, full head of steam near the end of the event. So I expect not only them to add more points to this, obviously, but to potentially fight for the 2 and 3 spot, or the 2 and 1 spot by the end of the season. Completely new. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, completely new drive team. So for a completely new drive team at their first event, y'all played awesome. They played awesome, and so looking forward to watching them at our future events, and I guess to see the evolution of 2486B, which we know from previous seasons. Usually turns out to be something pretty special. So looking forward to seeing both. All right, our number 2 team. So just for the record, number 1 and number 2 were tied on every single tiebreaker we have. So if you know the handbook, you know that if all of our tiebreakers are tied, we essentially go to random selection. Flip a coin. So we did that. And so number 2, again, non-official. Both these teams have to play their second event. So while one may be 1 and one may be 2, the coin flip would happen again once they play their second event, right? If they're tied again after a second event, the random sort would happen again. Anyway, number 2, 9432 with 52 points. Huge gap between 2 and 3. And number 1 obviously also has 52 points. 9432 also with a new drive team at this event. Looked really solid. This robot is really fun to watch. It scores so fast, and the super cycling looks really good. So they may be ranked 2 now, but it would not be shocking if 9432 went out and won another 3 ARL events in the process. I would like to point out that both 9432 and 2403, 2403, set the record for highest performance, like highest ranking performance at an ARL May with 52 points. So congrats. What that translates to is that their ranking score was high, was really high compared to other ARL Mays in the past. So congrats there. And then obviously it would go without mentioning, or I can't go without mentioning 9432's auto. Great. All right, and number 1, we have 2403 with 52 points, setting themselves up for another successful ARL campaign. 2403 always brings it for ARL. They may not have qualified for the World Championship this year, but this robot can cook, and it will continue to cook for the rest of the season. It is, as I said, currently the only non-L1, like non-just L1 ground intake in our state. And with the extra 5 pounds they get from ARL, there is a climber on there that they had to take off during the regular season, and it climbed a few times at the event. So as they continue to iterate on that, our house, I guess, threat to other teams, if you're hoping to win, they are very good. They're going to be very good. And this event was only like a taste, I guess, of what their true ARL Championship look is going to be. So congrats to 2403. Congrats to all of our top 4 on an excellent event. And I guess that kind of wraps ARL May. It would be remiss if I skipped over a brand new segment that we have, and that's my fault. It's so new that I completely forgot we had it. So what we're looking to do, I mentioned this on the kickoff show, we're looking to interview you. If you are a part of the winning or finalist alliance, and you are, you're either are old enough to sign your own waiver or have a parent there to sign a waiver, or a mentor, whatever. We would love to have you on the show. And so what happened at the ARL May event is our awesome host that you've seen here on the prediction show and on our other Twitch material content, Izzy sat down with a member of 2403. So I'm gonna play that for everybody because it's awesome. And I meant to play it earlier and I didn't. So there we go. And I'm gonna get rid of my face because I'm useless here. Boom.
I am joined here with a member of our winning alliance at the 2025 May Qualifier. Dustin, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. You want to introduce yourself, what team you're with, what sub-team you're on?
Yeah, so I'm with Team 2403 Plasma, and I'm involved in a lot of the design and build of the robot.
How long have you been in first?
This is my 3rd season.
Third?
I'm going to be a junior in high school this next school year.
Going to be a junior, awesome. And have you been participating in ARLs your entire first career, if you'll call it that?
Yeah, I've been doing ARL since it was started when it was the summer of my 7th grade year, I think.
Okay, so you've been in it for a while. So as an ARL regular, how is 2403 approaching this off season?
Yeah, so I think one of the main things that we're trying to focus this off season is instead of like past years where we've done a second robot, we're focusing a lot on like improving and adding new stuff to our main robot so it can be even more competitive than it is now.
Now, say you've got your main robot, star of the show by August. Do you see building a second development robot? Or is it kind of just a we'll see kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's still something we're definitely looking into, and I think if we do get the main robot to a point where there's not much else we can do with it, I think that's definitely the next direction we'll go after that.
And what are you looking to do with your main robot?
I think like the general concept of our robot is pretty good, but in kind of each different subsystem, there's a lot that we can do to improve it and make it more consistent throughout the events.
Consistency is key, especially here at ARL. 2403 definitely, I think, known for being consistent at ARLs. When did you guys begin preparing for ARL?
So since we didn't make it to Worlds this season, we were able to kind of take a break then.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple weeks after Worlds ended is when we kind of started to pick things back up and make a few small changes to the robot.
You guys come to ARL a lot, very, very successful ARL team. What advice would you give to newer ARL teams who are still kind of finding their footing in the off season?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing of advice is just to try to like make the most of it and try to use it as a chance to get more driving experience and try new things with the robot because there's a lot of different like opportunities to learn and improve, and I think it's important to kind of use that.
Absolutely. And one last question, Dustin. Is there anyone on Plasma that you'd like to shout out or thank for helping get you here or getting the team where they're at?
I think probably our 2 coaches, because they kind of help support us through ever. We're building out of their garage, so without it, we wouldn't really be able to do much. So
yeah. Mentors are a great asset in first. Well, congratulations, Dustin. Congratulations to 2403. And thank you so much for chatting with me today.
That was awesome. That was great. Thank you so much, Izzy and Dustin, for doing that. I have two mics. There we go. Thank you to Izzy and Dustin for the interview. I wish I played that earlier when we were talking about 2403 and their run to ARL May Dub, but just like a lot of our teams, I'm going to get better as the season goes on. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We are at the hour. I'm going to try to keep these shows on time as best we can, knowing that in the past we've gone over by quite a lot. I'd like to thank everyone who helped me put the show together. Sly Guy is back, just like and better than ever. And of course, Adam for joining, and Izzy for putting together the interview. Thank you so much for your help. We will be back on the Twitch channel tomorrow for a rerun of this show, and then we'll be back Saturday for a rerun of ARL May, and then we will be back live the Wednesday before our June event for our next ARL prediction show. And you're not going to want to miss that because I got news and updates for the ARL prediction show. Not just the predictions, but what we're playing for. I know everyone's so curious what we're playing for on the prediction show. Will all be unveiled as we approach the second episode. There is a winner currently. Or someone's winning currently. I'm losing currently. And then after that, we, of course, are back for ARL Extra Innings the Wednesday after ARL June. So I guess without further ado, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I guess I'll see you next time. I'm going to play myself out with some nice, soothing sounds of, I don't know what this is, free YouTube. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.